The Houston Texans have had arguably one of the most interesting offseasons. I know, they're obviously not a playoff team yet. They didn't bring anybody in big necessarily, but I mean, they traded away their franchise quarterback, Deshaun Watson, for reasons. First off, obviously, we always say it every time, something that pairs for everyone involved in that situation. But also at the same time, I feel like they are in a spot where they had a good draft. And I think that there's some things you need to look at in terms of, this rookie class, the guys that they did bring in, and how fast that this franchise could potentially turn around. Absolutely. I think when you take a look, we've already taken a couple looks at this rookie draft class for the Texans. I think, honestly, you've got multiple starters, whether it's Kenyon Green, obviously Derek Stingley Jr. is a stud, but there's multiple starters in this draft class that I think could be big-time players for the Houston Texans down the line. But today, we are bringing you the latest news and headlines before we head into training camp, and I can't be more excited because it's just, we're getting that much closer to the season, and there's a lot of different things coming with this. So without further ado, we'll bring you the latest article talking about takeaways from Texans OTAs. What's the other one? OTAs, minicamp, and all that good stuff. So I'm really excited about this. So we'll go ahead and start right now, bringing you guys the latest headlines. This one written by Aaron Wilson, and also the article courtesy of Pro Football Network. We will also add it in the description down below. So first thing it talks about here at Texans OTAs is Jerry Hughes shining. Listen, I know Jerry Hughes only signed, what was it? Yeah, $2 million or 2-year, $10 million quarterback that includes $5.5 million in guarantees. He's 33. He's getting up there, but he's a stud. Even at that age, he's still a guy that can bring it every single day. He's a guy that can teach these young players a lot. And I think he's honestly, and it even mentions here, he's accustomed to winning, player for the AFC East champion Bills last season. So, he knows what it's like to win. He can get after the quarterback, and I think he is going to be a solid leader. It even says, right here, he's a solid veteran leader, coming home as a solid veteran leader for, it actually is a really young roster. You got Davis Mills, at that quarterback, the rest of this roster, John Mechie, all those guys, Kenyon Green. It's just a really young roster all around, and I think it's got plenty of guys that I think will make a lot of plays down the line once they get their opportunity. And I think it would be definitely something to watch, or at least one of the rosters to watch. Now, it talks about quick things to talk about from the Texans minicamp and OTAs and everything. Talks about Marlon Mack, who signed a one-year deal up to $2 million. I know he was dealing with an Achilles injury over the last couple of seasons. Ran for a career-high 1,091 yards in 2019 with 8 touchdowns. But yes, the injury did sideline him. So they have some more. Ability at running back. Mack is a stud. Absolutely love it. Then you talk about rookie coming in for the Texans that's really been getting a lot of headlines. Christian Harris, who signed a 4-year, $5.34 million contract. Every article I've read says that Christian Harris has just been flying around. It mentions the fact that he had 80 tackles and 5.5 sacks last year with Alabama, and really ever since he stepped on the field, he was just an absolute stud. A guy that ran a 4.4, not the biggest guy, but at 6 foot, 226, runs a 4.4. I mean, he's just going to fly around, and that's exactly what you want from a young linebacker coming in. And I think, honestly, when you talk about the middle of that Texans defense, it's been a minute. Since they've had a pretty good linebacker on the inside there that just flies around, makes plays. I think Christian Harris could definitely be that guy. And then it all goes over to swing offensive tackle Charlie Heck, who is impressing early right now. The 6'8", 313-pound former 4th-round pick from North Carolina started a career-high 13 games last season. Now, it wasn't great, but, I do think that when you talk about and you look at all the different things from a guy like Charlie Heck, there are some things to work with. Obviously, he's got the size, and usually those 4th-round guys are people or players that they think they can develop and move on. So I'm really excited about Charlie Heck. I think he's going to be someone definitely to take a look at, and it never hurts to have another good backup tackle, and I think that's another reason to be really excited about a guy like Heck. So and then today, this is another article written a couple days later by Aaron Wilson, talking about some other headlines for the Texans when it comes to OTAs and all that. So once again, we will provide it down in the description below. But first off, Deshaun Hamilton looks like he is going to be getting surgery, I believe, and he did, yes. He did have, torn ACL last year as well. So, that is tough. Deshaun Hamilton is a very talented player, and dealing with that is very tough to see. But hopefully he does recover quickly. Maybe he's going to be back next year. I'm not sure, but I do think that it is going to be something to watch moving forward. Also, veteran starting center Justin Britt injured his left ankle during drills when he stepped in. After taking off his cleats, he was able to walk up the field at his own power without much of a limp. So I do, that one doesn't worry me as much. But obviously Hamilton getting injured, but I think Britt should from the sounds of it should be okay. Hopefully he's good to go for the season. Another rookie that's impressing, Jalen Pitre. I'm so excited about Jalen Pitre. He's just going to be a heat-seeking missile. I think he's going to be a stud for the Texans. You talk about him, Christian Harris. Like, man, this is those two guys I think are really going to help turn around this defense. So, it talks about when the Texans drafted hard-hitting safety, Baylor safety Jalen Pitre in the second round, he immediately emphasized that he models his game after veterans Tyrann Mathieu and Budda Baker. They're good role models to emulate for Pitre, who signed a 4-year, $8.95 million contract. It was named the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year last season. So, obviously it mentions his, having 3 sacks, 76 total tackles last year, a couple of picks. Like, yes, he's hard hitting, but he's all over the place. Whether he's going to play linebacker or safety, doesn't matter. He is going to be the Swiss Army knife for the Houston Texans defense, and I think I'm really excited about his development. I think he's going to be really, really fun to watch. And speaking of Christian Harris, like we said, and I think the biggest thing to take away from that really is, honestly, a guy that keeps impressing, keeps doing his thing. All you can do is put him on the field and let him do his thing. That's really all you can do, and I think that's what the Texans will do. Then it talks about Andre Johnson's impression of the rookie class, and I think, here's a quote. I got a chance to talk to Stingley, and I was just telling him about how their rookie class can do something special and change the organization because of what's happened here the last couple of years. I do think that's interesting. When you talk about a guy like Andre Johnson that obviously dealt with a lot, probably should be in that, definitely be in the Hall of Fame talk in my mind. Or at least on the conversation. And so, I think that's interesting. Obviously I also mentioned John Mechie III. I think like this, I got to be honest, just with that comment right there, Andre Johnson, such a good player. I'm really excited about this. I feel like this draft class, like he said, has the potential. John Mechie, Kenyon Green, Derek Stingley Jr., Jalen Pitre, Christian Harris. You have 5 guys there right off the top that all could be starters for you, for a young franchise, or young players for a franchise that's looking to turn around. I'm excited. This is an exciting draft class. So Derek Stingley Jr. working at a different pace as well. Obviously, the former 3rd overall pick. Did have a Liz Frank foot injury last year. That was I did a little bit of research, and it's actually like any foot injury obviously is tough, but a Liz Frank injury, the man still played on it. He's a stud. If he can play off that injury, he's going to be a lot of fun. Derek Stingley Jr. I think is going to come in right away. If he's healthy, he's going to come in right away and just do some great things to help him out, and really, I think, shore up that secondary pretty quick. So then it talks about the defining role for Rasheem Green here. I believe he had, 6.5 sacks last year. Now he's coming over to the Texans. 24 1-year contract. He's just signed with the Texans, a $3.25 million contract. I think he's going to be a guy. This Texans team has needed a pass rush, and I think bringing in a guy like Green is really going to help him out. And I think when you take a look at it, and overall, you just want to see a guy that just comes in, competes every day, and will get it done. Then it reflects on Romeo Crennel's career. Obviously, Crennel was a guy that was the Texans interim head coach, the former Texans interim head coach, defensive coordinator, associate head coach, all that of the Cleveland Browns and Kansas City Chiefs, announced his retirement Monday morning. Crennel won 5 of 6 Super Bowls he participated, earning championships twice with the New York Giants and 3 times with the New England Patriots. So, I think there's, you got to be able to give some love to these guys that were, that are legends. You really got to find a way to, even though he didn't have the success with the Texans, you got to be able to give him the credit that he deserves, and you got to be happy for these guys that have success out of your organization. Philip Dorsett in mix for playing time. A former Indianapolis Colts first-round draft pick, veteran wide receiver Philip Dorsett is in the mix for playing time after joining the Texans last season. Listen, the Texans just need help at wide receiver, and I'm glad they got a guy like Philip Dorsett to come in and do some different things for him. So honestly, give Davis Mills some help out that offensive line, give him some weapons, and we'll see how it goes. Then finally, last thing, it talks about Titus Howard, who's returning to practice 1 week after missing last week, when his wife Chelsea gave birth to a son named Titus Jr. Well, first off, congratulations. That's big time stuff, to the Howard family. So, but yeah, he's going to be back. I'm excited for Titus Howard, though. I think he could be a player that you may want to keep an eye on, because he is a guy that, there's definitely a lot of things to work with. And I think this Texans offensive line, I think, is going to improve a lot quicker than people think. But that's it. Those are the top questions and headlines for the Houston Texans before training camp. We will make sure we also put those articles down in the description below. Make sure you guys give us a like and a follow down below. Also give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And also in the description, you'll find all of our social media platforms. Give us a like and a follow there. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about the top questions and headlines for the Houston Texans before training camp.